Have you ever done that exercise? It's the one where you list all of the traits that your ideal guy should have. It's fun. The sky is the limit. You want blonde hair and a European accent and a passion for your favorite indie band? Well, put it on the list. If you can imagine it, you can have it. But don't get so caught up in your fantasy that you forget about the nuts and bolts that make relationships work. You don't want a gorgeous hunk of a guy who can't communicate and shuts down every time you have an argument. Your dream man should not only be attractive, compatible, and fun, he should have what it takes to create and maintain a lasting, healthy relationship. And that's why there's one trait that should always be on your list. No matter what Mr. Perfect looks like to you, he needs to understand, value, and practice this trait. Without it, it doesn't matter how perfect he looks on paper. He won't be able to live happily ever after with you. You'll fight. Your relationship will feel like hard work, and you'll eventually make each other miserable. Hi, I'm Amy Waterman, a dating and relationship expert with yourbrilliance.com. And in this video, I'm going to tell you what science says about your ideal guy. Back in 2014, researchers were studying marital conflict in older couples, and they wanted to see if personality and health played a part. Now, what's interesting is what they weren't studying. They weren't looking to see if compatible couples fight less. They weren't looking to see if sexually active couples fight less. So having a hot, passionate relationship with somebody who's like you in every way won't necessarily protect you from being miserable in a few decades. It does no good to marry the man of your dreams if you spend the next 50 years fighting. The older you get, the harder it is to tolerate all that sniping and sarcasm and sabotaging. You want to enjoy your golden years in peace with the one you love, not endure his presence with a long-suffering air of sacrifice. Yet many marriages get worse over time. They're beset by challenges like health scares, caregiving for elderly parents, financial worries, the daily grind of raising children, and just plain getting older. It's hard to hold it together. And that's why researchers wanted to know if there's a way to identify which couples would become the stereotypical old married couple and which couples would end up enjoying growing old together. What they discovered was a brand new trait, separate from the big five usually used to describe personality. And when men displayed this trait, their marriages showed less conflict over time. So what is this mystery trait? Well, it's called positive expressivity, or positivity for short. They define positivity as being gentle, helpful, kind, and understanding. Positive people tend to see the best in their partners. They look on the bright side of difficult circumstances, and they approach differences in a constructive way. Positive folks don't want to fight. Now, that doesn't mean that they don't have boundaries or that they won't speak up when they disagree, but rather they try to see both sides of the story and share their views in a way that doesn't hurt the other person any more than what's necessary. What's particularly fascinating is that the researchers found that the man's level of positivity mattered more than the woman's. It didn't actually make much difference if the woman was positive or not, but it made a marked difference to marital conflict if the man was positive. Now, why would his positive attitude matter more than hers? Well, researchers speculated it's because men tend to make their frustrations clear, while women are more likely to hold back those negative feelings in the interests of keeping the peace. Men high in positivity bucked that trend. They were more likely to avoid expressing their frustrations in a destructive way. Instead, they approached difficulties with kindness and a constructive attitude. Now, reading that, I was gobsmacked. I immediately thought back to my own past relationships. I've had partners in the past who didn't feel they had to be kind to me once we were committed. Now, of course, when we were dating, that wasn't the case. These men were very careful to avoid conflict. They were very eager to please. But once the relationship became official, everything changed. They would say rude things and then just shrug it off. They didn't have to be sensitive to my feelings. Helping me was a chore instead of an act of service. Whereas I had blamed myself at that point for being too needy or too sensitive, it turns out the gender politics were at work. It's not surprising to researchers that the man's attitude matters more than the woman's. The existing literature shows that, quote, at some point in the relationship, one partner may desire change from the other. But because men are typically advantaged in wealth and power, they're better able to resist women's demands and to withdraw from negotiations, thereby precipitating conflict. So in other words, if a man wants a woman to change, well, she's likely to do so. But if a woman wants her man to change, he simply refuses. No wonder so many relationships dissolve into conflict and misery. The study found two other traits that affect whether a long-lasting marriage is likely to be riddled with conflict: his health and how neurotic he is. So when his health is poor, there tends to be more conflict. But this doesn't hold true for the woman. Her poor health does not affect the level of conflict in the marriage. And also, if he's a critical kind of guy, he's more likely to be critical of his relationship. He's also more likely to perceive his partner as being hostile and critical, even when she isn't. So the next time you fantasize about the man of your dreams, don't forget the positive attitude. You want him to be kind, gentle, helpful, and understanding, not critical, negative, or argumentative. I wish I would have known that years ago. So there you have it. The number one most important quality to look for in the guy you're dating is positivity. Does he have a great attitude? You want a guy who sees the best in people and tries his best to be a good man. Does your guy fit the bill? If you've dated a guy like that, tell us about him in the comments so that we can all feel more envious. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more great videos about how you can live your most brilliant life. And if you've got a moment, do come over and visit us at yourbrilliance.com. We've got lots more information on dating and relationships, as well as beauty, health, career, and a whole lot more. We would love to see you there. See you again soon.